Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author, Matt Adams.
What is going on, folks? Welcome into the Fairways of Life show. It is a delight, a pleasure to have your company. This is the first time that we've had a stretch here in our home studio in some time. The last time that we were together, of course, Bill Rogers was a guest of the show. Thank you to everybody for the responses to that. It has been, we were kind of overwhelmed by the response that we got to that interview with Bill, which was part of the reason why I guess that I had wanted to have him on the show for so long, and glad that he was finally able to do it, and we were able to work out the logistics and get his insights on a remarkable career, a major champion that ended up walking away from the game inside of a decade from when he won that major championship and taking a club job. Also, I didn't get a chance to really talk to you in our national show about how amazing it was to be back at the old course in St. Andrews for the AIG Women's Open and doing the on-course play-by-play for the world feed of the same. It was incredible. The weather, particularly the winds, it was brutal that week, but in all honesty, it gave me an even deeper appreciation for this ancient golf course and the town that surrounds it. Just how incredibly beautiful it is and the mysteries that lie therein, the crosswinds that have to be solved like a Rubik's Cube. It was incredible. 5 opens now that I've covered at the old course, and this one held as much of the aforementioned, I guess mystery is a good way to describe it, as any of them, but all of the beauty that represents St. Andrews. Busy show we've got today for you. We're going to be talking about Scottie Scheffler. Yes, the amazing Scottie Scheffler. Jump into a phone booth, come out with the Superman costume on. He gets it done at the Tour Championship. And how do we sort the season that has been Scottie Scheffler? And not only Scottie's comments, he told us on Sunday that he's absolutely exhausted, but the other players as well, and what this, call it a modern era or current era, probably more accurate, because there seems to be efforts being made to redefine what the eras will be moving forward. Don't know, but at least the current era that we have, what he has accomplished as a golfer in terms of revenue that he earned this year, whether you call it official money or bonus money, regardless, it is absolutely remarkable. And then, as I mentioned, you will hear more from Colin. You'll hear more about the cost of honesty from Sahith. More from the United States Ryder Cup captain. Would he be a player for the U.S. President's Cup team? You'll hear less from Rory, and Jordan and Ludwig go under the knife. We're going to have that story coming up for you as well. Later in the show, too, we're going to be joined by a player that was a winner this year on the PGA Tour and amongst the top 30 at Eastlake. Thoughts about everything that's going on in the world of golf. As to what's going on with Scottie Scheffler, it has been absolutely remarkable. Andrew, pull that graphic you had back up there again, because even talking about what he has accomplished is mind-blowing. Look at it in 2024. 7 PGA Tour victories to his credit. Now, bear in mind, you'll see 4 or 5 lines down, Olympic gold medalist in Paris. That's not counted in the 7. He spoke about that last Sunday, saying, well, why not? But anyway, man, it's 7 official PGA Tour wins, 2024 Masters champion, 2024 Players champion, 2024 FedEx Cup champion now minted. As we mentioned, gold medalist. He is on the United States President's Cup team, 16 top 10 finishes, lowest actual scoring average, get this, in PGA Tour history at 68. It's 68.0 for those of you that like to carry out the decimals. Total earnings, this is what I was getting at, and this is made up of official earnings and bonus earnings, $62,228,357. So if you put that into perspective for a second, that amount of money, we're talking about golfers now, and for years we've had the conversation here on the Fairways of Life show where I've asked the question of you, compared to other sports, are golfers undercompensated? Compared to other sports, right? It wasn't that many years ago that the top golfer, this is before the bonus kicks in, you're talking somewhere around 3 million, 5 million, 7 million ish, right? Then the FedEx Cup bonus would kick in. On top of that, of course, the bonus is huge now. It's 25 million. So Scottie Scheffler's number, that's 62 million and change that we were just referencing, is second only to Shohei Ohtani. If you took his contract, which is $700 million, and averaged it by the years, I know people out there be going like, what are you talking about? That's not how he's getting compensated. He's getting a little on the front side and a lot in the back. He's still guaranteed. If you averaged it by his contract, it's $70 million. That would mean that for U.S. sports, Scottie Scheffler's $62 million and change is second only to Ohtani. Think about that for a second. Dom just said in my headset, he's kicking in on it. He says he's above all of the NFL quarterbacks in their average. Now, the difference is, of course, these guys have contracts where they get this. Scottie had to earn it this year, but it still speaks to the significance of it. Now, when you get outside of that and go, wait a minute, what about the international soccer players? Cristiano Ronaldo is getting what? $200 million a year, Dom, playing in Saudi Arabia. So there still is. There's always a relative. There's always somebody bigger in the room. But what he has accomplished is absolutely remarkable. So, Dom, I mentioned that you were just chatting to me in my earpiece. When we look at Scottie Scheffler, in terms of the tops in categories of performance, because ultimately when you talk about it in terms of, and it's interesting because normally when you look at, most sports aren't crazy about talking about money. They want to focus on performance, et cetera, et cetera. And golf is probably the leader in such an emotion. But this is so staggering that this figure is everywhere. Remember how the money list was moved to FedEx Cup points and all that jazz that goes into it. But 62 million and change is so staggering that it's a number that everybody's talking about. Now, how do you get there? What are the building blocks to doing that? You have to have exceptional performance. So, Dom, take us through. You tell me either number one or tops amongst the top leaders in categories of performance just this season for Scottie Scheffler.
I mean, I'll try. He's first in everything. Feel free to cut me off, Matt.
All right.
Feel free to cut me off. He is first in strokes gained total, first in strokes gained tee to the green, first in strokes gained approach. He's first in distance from edge of the fairway. He's first in greens of regulation. He's first in approaches 150 to 175. He's first in approaches 50 to 125. He's first in approaches 100 to 125. He's first in approaches from inside 100 yards. He's first, I should say he was, because the season is now officially over. He's first in putting average, which is interesting. He's first in scoring average adjusted, scoring average actual, which we just talked about, record breaking there. First in birdie average, first in par breakers, first in par 4 birdie or better leaders, first in birdie or better percentage, first in round 1 scoring average, first in round 2 scoring average, first in par 4 scoring average, first in par 5 scoring average. I'm going to pass out. Front 9 scoring average, back 9 scoring average, late scoring average, year-to-date par or better streak, 42. That's crazy. 42. That's so many. Let's see, what else? And I, for the record, I skipped a lot of top fives. So he was second and third and fourth in like all the other categories I didn't read. So that's just insane, which leads me to the question of the day, centered very much around this and his incredible season. The question is over under, Matt. Can Scottie Scheffler win 7 events again next year? Over under, yes or no?
Are you taking over or under then? How to answer your own question?
I'm taking under. I don't think you can I think that to keep this pace up is not impossible, but close to impossible. The only thing we have to compare it to realistically is Tiger Woods, who obviously did it multiple times, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, and we're putting some stuff together next week for that too. But I'm just saying that to keep this up at this pace, I don't know, Matt. I'm going to go with under. What about you?
No, I believe that he can do it. I believe that he's obviously shown us with what you just ran through. And one stat you didn't mention in particular is his strokes gained putting, which last time I looked at it, he was 69th in strokes gained putting. Right?
That's correct.
Which is
69th. But it was positive. It was .095, so .01 shots. So it was a positive strokes gained putting.
Right, which is remarkable for Scottie using the new putter and all the rest. Because remember, he still went through his stretches where he had some putts that he was putting really well. One of the stretches that I'm thinking about in particular is at the Open, because I was assigned to him doing the play-by-play at Royal Troon, and I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 rounds that I was with Scottie, and he couldn't get a putt to drop. He just couldn't get a putt to drop. And then you look at the performance that he had. Look at what he had. I mean, it's kind of funny because I was going to go back to the PGA Championship, and that was after he got arrested. You think about the season. I mean, seriously, you think about the season that he had this year. Major champion again, wins a gold medal, first-time father, first time getting arrested. The best season that we have seen in terms of wins on tour since what, 2008? For Scottie Scheffler. And the last one that he's being compared to there, of course, is Tiger Woods. It's Tiger and VJ. It's Tiger and VJ that are at the tops of that list. Andrew, you have that we put together before we went on the air, because I think it deserves being illustrated, not necessarily to show simply of where he stands relative to Tiger and VJ, which is still pertinent. Both of them with 9 during that incredible run during the early 2000s where they were going head-to-head against each other. But Tiger won 8 in 99. Tiger won 8 in 06 and 7 in 07 before you see where Scottie's tied with him from 24, which just speaks to how incredible and how fortunate we've been over watching some great golf played over the last couple of decades. But I guess what I'm saying is for Scottie Scheffler at his age, with the tumultuous season that he had outside of what he accomplished in all those categories, Dom, and someone could say, well, how do you know life's not going to be tumultuous moving forward? All I'm saying is I don't know if you can combine all the things that he did in 2024 reasonably and go, okay, he's going to be facing all these things again. He can't in terms of Olympics. It's not going to be happening next year and more. So you're going to be hearing from Scottie as we talk about this incredible year that he had, which, by the way, if you want to vote on Dom's question of the day, log on to the Fairways of Life YouTube channel. You can do accordingly. The FedEx Cup champion with this victory wins the FedEx Cup for the first time, entering the Tour Championship at number 1 in the FedEx Cup standings for the 3rd consecutive year. Held the lead in the FedEx Cup standings for the final 25 weeks of the season, which is incredible. Longest streak at number 1 in the FedEx Cup to end the season. 5th player in 6 instances to enter the Tour Championship number 1 in FedEx Cup standings, go on to win the FedEx Cup in the first since Patrick Cantlay did it in 21. 50th career week at number 1 in the FedEx Cup. That's the second most time. Most weeks at number 1 in FedEx Cup standings since the inception of the FedEx Cup in 2007. You got it. It's Tiger at 85. Then Scottie at 50. Dustin Johnson at 49. Second wire-to-wire the champion, no ties since the starting strokes format started in 2019, the first since Patrick Cantlay. He's the 84th player to win 13 or more times of the PGA Tour, and he's the first to accomplish that number since Jason Day won the 2023 CJ Cup at Byron Nelson. Tied for 72nd on the all-time PGA Tour wins list thus. Other active players on that mark of 13, Jason Day and Jordan Spieth. That's his 7th PGA Tour title this season. As we were getting ready before the show and I was reading through this, I was curious how many of you out there could name the 7 wins that he had this season. Ready for it? Here we go. The Tour Championship, the Travelers Championship, the Memorial Tournament presented by Workday, the RBC Heritage, the Masters, the Players' Championship, and the Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard. He's the first player to win 7 or more times in a single season since Tiger Woods did it last in 2007. That's that graphic that we were showing you guys before, which just blows me away. All right, so all of this leads us to, what about Scottie Scheffler? What's his reaction? Aside from telling us that he is exhausted from the year that he just had, here he is immediately in the wake of his victory.
Yeah, feels really nice. Yeah, like you said, I've been leading the points list for a long time, and so to come in here with a lead is, it's nice to play the way that I did and be able to finish off the right way. I mean, I tried my best to just stay in the present this week, and I felt like I did a really good job of that. In terms of the lead, it's unusual playing this many rounds of a tournament with a lead, especially, a 7-shot lead after the first round is something that I will probably never have at any other tournament besides this one. So it's a bit of a different feeling. I feel like sometimes this tournament lasts longer than other tournaments. I don't know why, but it's just like I'm exhausted right now. There's really no other way around it. I'm just really, really tired. So if my answers are not very good, I'm blaming it on the exhaustion.
Scottie, what happened on that shot out of the bunker?
I shanked it.
Why did you shake it?
So there's the club, like there's the straight part of the face, and then over here is the hosel. And on that one specifically, I caught too much of that part of the face. And that's why I went to the right. So it's shaped kind of, a little curve. And then, so like if I hit the straight part, it's going to go that way, straight. And then if I hit this part, it's going to come, towards you. So that actual specific bunker shot, for some reason, I need to figure out why, but I shank it a lot more often than I should when I'm on a side slope like that. Thinking about it on the next shot, not really, just because it's a bunker. It's a totally different shot. If I had shanked a wedge from the middle of the fairway, I'm sure it maybe would have crept in. Like, I remember I had a shank at the President's Cup a couple years ago, and over my next iron shot, you can definitely feel, the toe of the club kind of flipping over to make sure it beats the heel there so the ball doesn't, so I don't shank it again. But this one specifically, since it was a bunker shot, no, it didn't really kind of go into the rest of the game. But if it was a normal wedge shot from the middle of the fairway, then yeah, I think probably would have been a bit more challenging to overcome. I mean, if you can describe it in words, more power to you, because I don't think I can. It's been a long year. It's been a very fun year. I think emotionally right now I'm pretty drained. So I'm looking forward to going home and getting rest for a week or so before I start prepping for the President's Cup, because that's a tournament that I really want us to go out there and win. And so, I really don't know how to put it into words. It's been a very eventful year, but it's been a lot of fun. You have the really just the one weird spot there at Valhalla, which I just don't really know what to say about it. But everything else has been pretty special. I mean, in terms of freshness, I'd say probably the one after number 8. I mean, you're really challenging me right now, having to look in the past. I don't really have the brain power. I'll probably have to get back to you on that one. But just because it's fresh in my mind, probably the one he gave me walking off number 8 tee. But really, Teddy gives me good speeches all the time. I mean, that's why he's such a great caddy. I mean, I don't think there's a day goes by that he's not giving me some pretty decent advice or giving me a good laugh when I need it. He really is, my biggest asset out there on the course, and he's a huge part of the team. Yeah, it's great. Still don't understand why the Olympics doesn't count. It's a bit weird to me. I think that's part of the greed that goes on in your brains. As you say 7, I'm kind of like, well, no, I won 8. I won the Olympics in the middle of the year, and for some reason it doesn't count as an official PGA Tour win. It counts the same as, no offense to the Hero, but it counts the same as the Hero World Challenge in the grand scheme of things. But overall, I mean, it's been a great year. I'm proud of the results. It's something I try not to focus too much on, but at the end of the day, being able to win tournaments is a great feeling, and it's what we work towards, and to be able to have as many wins as I have this year is really special. Yeah, if I'm going to be honest with myself, yeah, I definitely did. I've been the player of the year for the tour the last 2 years, and I haven't left with this trophy, and so it definitely, I think, leaves a bad taste in your mouth at the end of the year, especially when I start with the lead. Granted, it's not a huge lead, but you're starting the tournament ahead of people. Like, you should win the tournament if I'm starting ahead of people. That's how I feel. And so maybe the last couple of years I put too much pressure on myself to perform or whatever it is. But this year I did a good job of just staying in it mentally and keeping my head down and just had a really good week and was able to finish it off the right way. I think so. You know, I think last week was a good kind of relearning experience for me to just keep my head on straight. You know, last week my attitude was not great, and that's the thing that's been my greatest strength this year has been my attitude. And, you know, my whole team reminded me of that after the week, and I was like, listen guys, I know I was not in a great mood last week, wasn't in a good place, and so this week really my goal to start the week was just to have the right attitude and use what I feel like is my best strength, and that's my mind. And, you know, that's what Teddy reminded me of at the beginning of the week, and that was really just the thing that I focused on the most, was just staying in it mentally, and it paid off.
All right, so he was saying his greatest strength, which is interesting, because I love when we get a chance to hear from great champions, is my attitude. Think about it. Final round, almost out of bounds at the 7th, ends up with a bogey. Shanks it out of the bunker at 8, ends up with a bogey. His lead goes down to 2. Then he rips off 3 straight birdies. As to the money I was telling you about, this is the release from the PGA Tour. Official money, $29,228,357, most in PGA Tour history. Set the record for the most official money in each of the last 3 seasons, totaling over $64 million. Back to this year, FedEx Cup bonus money, $25 million. Comcast Business Tour Top 10 bonus money, $8 million. Official money and bonus money in 2024, once more, $62,228,357. The Fairways of Life show is presented by the PGA Tour Superstore. They are the #1 golf retailer coast to coast, continuing to build their great, big, beautiful stores. You need it. You want it for your golf game. You'll be able to find it inside of those stores. But I think their chief attribute are their people. They are professionals, not just somebody trying to sell you a piece of sporting goods. These are people that know what they're talking about, invested in your best interests. Check them out, PGA Tour Superstore.
I got ball fit in 2000, went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
PGA Tour Superstore pros aren't born. They're made. Every January, hundreds of associates talk to the top manufacturers, learn about the latest clubs, test the newest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together, hit over 100,000 balls, all so they can get you the perfect fit.
I think when you're training for other sports, or why most people go to the gym is so that they can have muscles and be strong and be healthy. And a lot of the reason why they struggle to play golf is their body doesn't move properly for them to be able to hit a golf ball. And when you're training for golf, it's a little bit different because you're focused more on flexibility and mobility and being strong in motion. When you're able to kind of have a warm up and have a workout routine and kind of gradually build up to where you're training your body to move properly, yeah, you're going to get a lot of big dividends on the golf course.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
Super easy to hit. Introducing the new PXG Black Ops irons, our first game improvement iron.
It's a larger face heel to toe.
It launches the ball high in the air and really far.
Much higher levels of forgiveness. You set that club down, creates a lot of confidence. It's supported by this X-Core polymer material.
And that's where you get improved ball speed. If you're looking for a distance, forgiveness, and feel, Black Ops iron is going to be for you.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour Superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/Stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
Welcome back to the Fairways of Life show from wherever you are joining us today. Matt Adams here with you. Andrew and Dom are behind the glass. So, Colin Morikawa played incredible golf at the Tour Championship. There's little doubt about that. It was interesting because in the last segment when Dom was asking a question, kind of an over-under and what you think about Scottie Scheffler in next year's season and what to expect of him. What do you think about Colin Morikawa? Also a multiple-time major champion, and the form that he showed at the end of the season. What's interesting with Colin is how many times either he or members of his team or golf analysts who have been out there on the PGA Tour will make a comment that he found something. I'm just curious as we move forward if we're going to find out what that found something is in its entirety from Colin Morikawa. So when he finished up last Sunday, he spoke to the media about the week that was, the season that was, and where his head is at.
I mean, I knew I had that was kind of the goal for the week, right? To come out on top in this kind of fake leaderboard and see how things played out. And ultimately, Scottie was like second or third in that leaderboard, so it didn't really help my case. But look, that was the goal. You know, I knew 6 shots was a lot to catch up, but I know I've made it up before, and it was just nice to put together four good rounds, you know, throughout a week. Honestly, very surprising. I knew I had to make the putt because I had a weird feeling he was going to make par, and I think he lipped out his par putt even after the bad chip. And look, I mean, I made the putt and it was 2 back, but like I said, like he's not going to just start making bogeys after that. Like he's going to do the opposite, and he's going to start hitting golf shots, and it almost like brought his focus back in for a half second, and then that's something you can't teach, and it's just like you either have it or you don't. Just nothing phases him. I mean, whether I was close, you know, and gaining some ground or he was gaining ground, it didn't change how he walked or how he played or how he went through every shot, and that's something to learn. I think his mental game is a lot stronger than a lot of people know, and it's amazing what he's been able to do for this entire season, and honestly, kind of over this past, 3 years now. It's been really cool to watch, and hopefully I can kind of draw something from that. I got to start playing better final rounds. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, it's not like I had to do anything special in a handful of those rounds. It's not like, you know, I didn't have to shoot 63s to win. You know, I was in these final groups. I don't know how many final groups I was in this year, but enough to where I can think of a few easily off the top of my head. And when you can do that, you know, you hope to think of the wins. So I got to figure out how to not sustain the energy, but just sustain the golf and figure out, you know, how do we shoot a 500 in the final round where it's just kind of effortless.
A pretty amazing stuff from Colin Morikawa. Did you hear him call it the fake leaderboard coming in? I thought that was pretty classic as well. What about Keegan Bradley? Are we in the era of Keegan Bradley right now? And frankly, honestly, I think rightfully so, because I think this is a player that, for whatever reason, the game kind of overlooked the performance that he had coming off multiple wins. You know what I'm talking about with the Ryder Cup, et cetera. So now when Keegan Bradley does stuff, it's about how high he can fly and what his thoughts are in terms of what the limits are. Let's hear from the United States Ryder Cup captain.
I don't have much planned. I'm going to wait to see what Captain Jim Furyk wants to do, and that'll sort of determine what my next steps are. But I'm excited to get home and get with the family and shut the brain off for a little bit. Yes, I'm excited to go. I'm going either way, so whether it's with my clubs or not is the big question. Yeah, I spoke to him. We had a great conversation. He's got a tough choice ahead of him. You know, I don't know which way it's going to go, but like I said, I'm happy to play whatever role I need to play for the team. Whatever role I play is going to help me for Bethpage and, you know, start the year I wanted to play on this team. So I would love to play, but if Jim has other plans, I totally understand. That's sort of since the win, I've sort of taken a little step back from that. I'm as involved or as little involved as Jim wants. But, you know, for now, I think Jim really wanted me to focus on going out and playing this week. He's a player, obviously, first, and he knows what it's like to come out here and have to play this tournament. It does. It's sometimes I forget that I won. It just feels like, you know, so often in this sport you just move on to the next week, and your good things and bad things are forgotten within a week. And I hope to, get home tonight and really sit down and enjoy the last month or so.
All right. So he was talking about everything that he's accomplished, and now the time perhaps to sit back, take it all in, and appreciate what he has done, because he's got a lot ahead of him. There was little doubt about that. Now, one who also wants to sit back, take some time, and appreciate things a little bit more is Rory McIlroy. Kind of surprised people with, there's obviously been a sense that something's going on with Rory McIlroy. Tossing the one club, snapping the other one. Just it's not a Rory McIlroy that seems to be at peace in his world. I'm just going off what we've seen. So he spoke to that, and he spoke to changes that he intends to make.
Yeah, my season's not over, obviously. I've still got 5 events left to play. So, but yeah, it's been I feel like the tournaments came thick and fast, and obviously with the Olympics thrown in there as well this year, it condensed everything a bit. But yeah, I think it was obviously a great season. Hopefully Scottie goes on and finishes this thing off, because he deserves it after what a year that he's had. So, but yeah, it's been a long season, and I'm going to just have to think about trying to build in a few extra breaks here and there, next year and going forward, because I felt like I hit a bit of a wall, sort of post U.S. Open, and still feel a little bit of that hangover. Yeah, I think his consistency, his attitude, feel like he just sort of brings the same demeanor to the course every single day, no matter what position in the leaderboard he is in, or he's just he's amazing to just watch, the way he manages himself around the golf course. And we'll look back on 2024, and it's obviously one of the best individual years that a player's had for a long time. 27, I'm usually sort of like a 22 sort of person, but again, that was when I was sort of in my 20s and didn't have the responsibilities that I do now. So I'm going to try to cut it back to like 18 or 20 a year going forward, I think. Golf is such a game of momentum, and when the momentum's going with you and you're making birdies and you're shooting scores in the 60s all the time, all you see are birdies and shooting scores in the 60s. So it's like a self-fulfilling sort of thing. And then when you get it going the wrong way in golf and you're seeing bogeys, all you see is bogeys, and you're shooting in the 70s and you're struggling. And so I think it's he's at the peak of his powers. His confidence is as high as it ever has been, and it's a pretty nice feeling to have on the golf course. I think once Ricky gave Tommy that putt on the 16th green, I started thinking about Bethpage. I think, look, the qualifying started in Europe, and we're all trying to get points on the board early to make sure that we don't have to rely on a pick. So I think that's obviously the big thing. And I think one of the great things that we did leading up to Rome is we basically had, pretty much had the team set, a few months in advance, and so hopefully we can do the same thing again, and know the 12 that we're bringing to New York pretty early, so we can, think about pairings, think about, all of those things that you need to, so that once we get there, we're, a few weeks out, we're prepared and everyone knows what they're doing.
Matt, is this really a bad season? 19 events, 2 wins, a runner-up, 7 top 10s, and 15 top 25s. It feels kind of like a good season to me.
Well, obviously it's a good season. It's obviously a good season for Rory McIlroy. But Rory McIlroy is so incredibly talented that two things. First of all, the image of Rory McIlroy from 2024, even though he'll likely go on to win the race to Dubai, et cetera, but the image for Rory McIlroy, in my mind, people are going to remember most is a U.S. Open collapse. Right? Led by 2 with 7 holes ago? And all those, and everything that took place following. But the thing with Rory that I notice is that with everything that he has accomplished, to look at it and have a sense that it's still less than what he should have accomplished given his talent level. He seems to have one bad round per event. Now, that bad round tends to float a little bit, but it oftentimes comes early. But it tends to float a little bit. So you tell me, Dom, in his give me his averages as compared to the rest of the tour. Give me his averages per round for this past season. Where he ranked.
So in the first round he was 7th on tour in scoring average for round 1 scoring. For round 2 he was 133rd. To your point. Round 3 was 51st, and round 4, final round scoring average, is 94th on tour.
Okay.
So that floating rough round you're talking about certainly seems to, the stats back that up.
Yeah, 133rd in the second round, 51st, 94th from there. All right, so other news that came out, which I don't think was a massive shock to anybody, but Jordan Spieth ended up having his wrist surgery. He sent this out. I had a procedure in my left wrist last week. As I mentioned, that was the plan. The operation went smoothly, and I'm grateful for the exceptional medical team and support of Annie and my family. Focused on rest and rehab, and I look forward to returning to golf healthy and prepared for 2025. No word there on timeline on it. Remember when we had Dr. Michael Maloney on a week to 2 weeks ago, he was talking about at least 6 months for a recovery of surgery such as this. And what about young Ludwig? He had knee surgery, and it was, I guess they're calling it a procedure for Ludwig Åberg, but he had it done as well. And I get this is a conversation for another time, but you've got these young players, call it if you want to 31 and under, or if you just want to focus on players in their 20s. Ludwig, Will would be a couple of them that would come to mind, who are undergoing surgery at really young ages. And the question begs, is that because of the repetition of what they do physically and the toll that it's taking on their body, and what sign does it mean to be doing that at such a young age? More of the Fairways of Life show coming up right after this. Still want to talk to you a little bit about the Solheim Cup. It lies in store. The President's Cup, more around the corner on that. And we have a winner on the PGA Tour this season, and one of the top 30 that made it to Eastlake coming up in the Fairways of Life show today. Stay with us.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct-to-consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
The best feeling iron I've ever hit. Introducing the new Gen 7 irons, the greatest leap forward in irons technology, in performance, in PXG history. Our new quantum core material explodes off the face. Are you kidding me? The Gen 7 irons deliver groundbreaking new levels of forgiveness, speed, distance, and feel. That's what I'm talking about right there. Look at that trajectory. Just phenomenal. Gen 7. It doesn't get any better.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Baseball? Nah. Football? Done it. I think I'm going to go after PGA Tour.
Playing on the PGA Tour is not easy. But you know what is easy? Getting the 524 series from Tour Edge.
Getting linebackers and home runs used to be easy.
Out here, you're going to need all the easy you can get. Introducing the 524 series from Tour Edge. The easiest clubs you'll ever hit. Even the best players in the world can use a little easy.
I like the sound of that. Look out, PGA Tour.
Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate
Hey,
golf
Billy, can you hear me?
experience today.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
PGA Tour Superstore pros aren't born. They're made. Every January, hundreds of associates talk to the top manufacturers, learn about the latest clubs, test the newest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls, all so they can get you the perfect fit.
Welcome back to Fairways of Life Show. Pleasure to have your company, folks. So, Dom, what are the results you're getting right now in your survey? You asked over-under on Scottie doing it again next season.
82% of the people, Matt, are saying under 7 wins. They think it's unlikely he can continue like this.
I think he can do it. I'm taking the over on that. Delighted to tell you that our guest is joining us right now. Billy Horschel, 8-time winner on the PGA Tour. He was a 2014 FedEx Cup champion, the 22 U.S. President's Cup team member, 346 starts on tour, 64 career top 10s to his credit. He has had a great season in the season that just concluded, the regular season portion of which, collecting his 8th win on tour, his first since 2022 at the Corrales Punta Cana Championship in April. 23 starts, he collected 7 top 10s, including a victory and that runner-up at the Open, which was remarkable on that day. I was assigned to him in that final round, and the conditions were brutal for him to finish as strong as he did. Of course, he finished inside the top 30 in the FedEx Cup standings. He gets all the security that goes along with that. He made it, obviously, to the Tour Championship. He finished tied for 23rd. Pleasure to welcome Billy to the show. Billy, how have you been?
I've been good. Happy to have this past year under, in the books and ready to get next year started.
Rory said it. Scottie said it. They've both mentioned that they are, the words used, exhausted. How is Billy Horschel? How are you holding up through the rigors?
I think, like all of us, we all knew that with this new schedule, no longer a wraparound, we're going to be playing a lot from January to August, and I think that's shown from a lot of players. And depending on what guys want to do, if you played well enough and it afforded you the ability to take the rest of the year off, you can. And if you want to continue to keep playing, you still can. I've still got a few more events. I'm going to head over to Europe and play a few events on the DP World Tour. Excited about that. And then sort of early October, I'll shut it down for a couple months just to recover, relax, get ready for 2025, and spend some time with family.
What is the connection, Billy, with you and the DP World Tour, the West Ham bag we know of, obviously? How'd they do, by the way? How'd the season start for your boys?
We've lost 2 and won 1, so we've started off okay. We've got a little 2-week break now, the international break, so no games till September 14th. But yeah, we started off, would love to start off better, but we got a new squad with a lot of new signings, and these next 2 weeks are beneficial.
Representing, I'm a Liverpool guy. We're 3-0, so it's been a strong start so far. When you go over to the DP World Tour, you play with a certain freedom there. Obviously, they greet you as the superstar that you are. What is the connection for you? How would you define it?
Oh, I think I've talked about this a lot. Growing up, I watched the European Tour on Golf Channel at 7 a.m. in the mornings. That was awesome to do, and then I could go out and practice the rest of the day. I just always had an infatuation with, history and the culture over there. I don't know, I've always loved that style of golf. As I've said last year, I think the Europeans and people in the UK, they're more present in everyday life. Obviously, they are striving to improve their life and make it better for themselves and for their families. But I think at the same time, they can live in the moment and be in the present, where here in America, we're striving to make our lives better, but we're always looking forward, always trying to be better. And sometimes we don't truly appreciate, where we're at in the moment and in the present. And so just two completely different styles, two that I love. I love just the hustle and bustle and the grind of what, it is in the USA. But at the same time, I do love that being over there, people are more present and enjoying what they have right then and there.
I was thinking, just as you were talking about, back in the day, watching what was then called the European Tour on Golf Channel with the voice of Renton Laidlaw,
Yep.
and waking up with a warm beverage in the morning. Absolutely classic. We have now gotten on the other side of the Tour Championship and seen Scottie Scheffler ascend to the same mantle that you won back in 2014, but Scottie has done it with such flair and in a way that we haven't seen since Tiger last. Maybe you heard me referring to it when we came on, because Dom put this survey on our YouTube channel and said, basically, over-under, could he do it again next year? I took the over and said that I think he can. 80-some-odd% of the people are saying, well, that's a tall order to do that once again. Where does Billy Horschel fall on that with what you've seen from Scottie Scheffler?
That's a great question. I would say I fall under the under. To win 7 times on the PGA Tour, last time someone did that was Tiger Woods. Scottie's a great player and he's super talented, but listen, the PGA Tour is very strong and we're very deep, and we have a lot of top players. I think you look at what Xander's done this year. He could have easily won. I know he won 2 majors. He could have easily won 3 or 4 more times. Obviously Rory McIlroy, I would say he had an okay year by his standards. So I would expect him in 2025 to step up. You've got guys like Patrick Cantley, Justin Thomas. You got young guys like Ludwig. I think once Ludwig wins a big tournament, yes, he's won RSM, but I think once he wins on tour, I think that's just going to be a sort of a David Duval-like situation where I think he's going to realize what it takes, and it's just going to be a snowball effect. So I'm going to go with the under. I'm going to say Scottie does win multiple times. I'm sure he probably wins 3 or 4 times, but to sort of duplicate the year he had this year, I think it's very difficult, and it's nothing against Scottie. And I believe he's, like I said, I think he's super talented, but the talent level that Tiger had and just the dedication and sacrifice that he gave for, 15, 20 plus years, you have to have something very similar. And now Scottie's got a young family. He's got a young kid. He's an amazing father already at 3-4 months. So, I'm going to take the under. I'm going to be that sort of devil's advocate and go that way.
All right, hang in there with us. We're going to take a quick commercial break here, folks. Come back with more from Billy Horschel right after this.
I got ball fit in 2000, went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
I think when you're training for other sports, or why most people go to the gym is so that they can have muscles and be strong and be healthy. And a lot of the reason why they struggle to play golf is their body doesn't move properly for them to be able to hit a golf ball. And when you're training for golf, it's a little bit different because you're focused more on flexibility and mobility and being strong in motion. When you're able to kind of have a warm up and have a workout routine and kind of gradually build up to where you're training your body to move properly, yeah, you're going to get a lot of big dividends on the golf course.
Super easy to hit. Introducing the new PXG Black Ops irons, our first game improvement iron.
It's a larger face heel to toe.
It launches the ball high in the air and really far.
Much higher levels of forgiveness. You set that club down, creates a lot of confidence. It's supported by this X-Core column material.
And that's where you get improved ball speed. If you're looking for a distance, forgiveness, and feel, Black Ops irons are going to be for you.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour Superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
Welcome back to the Fairways of Life show. Matt Adams here with you. Our guest is Billy Horschel. So, Billy, how much are you and Brittany doing with the foundation now, with the charities now? How engaged are you guys in all of that?
Yeah, we started a foundation roughly a year ago. We were already involved with AJGA. My AJGA event's coming up in early October. I think it's our 7th, 8th year hosting an event. We have an APGA event roughly 2 weeks after that. It would be the 4th time holding APGA event, which we're excited about. Still involved with our local food bank feed, Northeast Florida. We just sponsored a dog this year for K9 for Warriors. His name's Roscoe, so we're excited about that. And then the foundation was really created to bring everything together, and the real thing that we're focused on right now is the mental health and addiction. We've got a space here at our local YMCA. We're going to be able to host little support groups. Moms are able to come in and just, talk about, life and, anything they need to talk about, a peer group. So we're excited about everything we're doing and with our foundation, and we're looking to grow it further down the road, especially in the mental health and addiction side that we've got.
Very cool. I love this story about Roscoe, too, that you guys are doing that. The AJGA events, the APGA events, that Billy and Brittany are involved in. I've been at those, and they're incredible, and they're much bigger than what you could imagine until you're actually on site. You can see it. The food bank stuff has always kind of touched the heart, Billy, that you guys have been doing that for a long time to help deal with people with food insecurities, of which there's way too much of, and that you're giving back there is incredible. Folks, just so you know, I have a lot I want to talk to Billy about. I want to talk to him about where golf is right now, reflection on the season right now. I want to ask him about the staggered start with the Tour Championship. We just heard Colin tell us that he called it a fake leaderboard, which I thought was a funny way to phrase it. So I want to go through all that. So we're going to continue with Billy as we sign off. For those of you that are watching us on Golf Channel, we'll continue it on the Fairways of Life YouTube digital side. So just go to our YouTube page for that. But before I get to that, and this is kind of in the couple minutes we have left, I'll keep you honest in the time here, Billy. I want to ask you about your sponsors, because it's our way of saying thank you to you to take the time to come on with us. Tell us about who you've aligned yourself with.
Yeah, I've got great sponsors. I'll start off with Zurich. I've been with them for 11 years. They're a great sponsor. Just unbelievable people. Their clients, their customers, I love spending time with. It truly is a family. I've been with them for 11 years now. I see a lot of the same people at the Zurich Classic, at outings throughout the year. So really appreciative of them believing in me for as long as they have now, a decade plus. BDO, are the tax and accounting firm. It's the 4th or 5th largest tax and accounting firm in the world. People don't realize that, but it's a massive tax and accounting firm. Wayne is the CEO, is an awesome guy, become a really good friend over the last couple of years. We've got Titleist FootJoy, been with them for a while. Obviously Ralph Lauren, I've been with them for 15 plus years. Just love them. I know I get complimented a lot on my appearance and my style, and I always say, hey, listen, it's Ralph Lauren, it's not me. They make really good clothes that make me look really good. So very fortunate enough to be aligned with a lot of people, a lot of sponsors. Another one is Beam, a CBD company that I'm also invested in, that I've been with for 5 or 6 years now. So listen, I've got great sponsors. I'm very lucky to have the support that I do. I'm very, appreciative of everything that they, they give me, and every sponsor that I have, I try to create like a family. I want it to be a family. I want it to be, not just a business transaction. I want them to be, feel close to me. I want them to feel a part of my family. So it's something I've always tried to do throughout my career is to, make that sponsor and their customers, their clients, their employees feel like they truly are part of Team Billy.
Billy, I don't want you to edit yourself in the following question just because of the time. So you answer in however much time you want. We just may make the transition as you are discussing it. Have you had a chance to speak to Jim Furyk, and what are your thoughts about the potential of representing the United States in the President's Cup team?
Yeah, Jim gave me a call yesterday morning. I don't know if I'm able to share where it goes, but I'm not getting picked. So if I was going to get picked, I wouldn't tell you. But no, Jim gave me a call yesterday morning. Jim's a great friend. He's been an unbelievable role model for me. Brittany and I are big fans of him and Tabitha. They've given us a lot of, advice throughout the years. The reason we are so involved in our local community is because of them and what they've done to feed Northeast, or what they've done in the Northeast Florida community. So big fans of theirs. I respect Jim tremendously, and he gave me a call yesterday morning, and just said, I played hard. It just wasn't meant to be, and I didn't expect to make this team. I knew I was way down the list. I know I made a little a push at the end, but listen, it hurts because Jim's a good friend. I wanted to make the Ryder Cup team back in 2018. I wanted to make this President's Cup team because he is the captain, but it's just not in the cards for me this year, and I'll play really hard next year and hopefully make the team and be part of Ryder Cup and Keegan's team next year.
Very, very cool. The season that you had, and thank you for sharing that with us, because I know that you'll be one of the people wherever you're taking in the event. You'll be one of the people that will be cheering on the Team USA with as much vigor as anybody else. The season that you had, and I look on it as some way as a microcosm of who you are as a competitor in your season, the way you finished the Open at Royal Troon, particularly the day before when you were out there in short sleeves in weather that at one point I looked down the rope line of the gallery and I could see their breath. That's how cold it was with the wind that was blowing. There was a competitive fire that's always there for Billy Horschel, but it was particularly intense in 2024. How would you define it?
Yeah, 2024 was truly gratifying. Obviously, after coming off a really bad 23, probably the worst season. I would say the worst season that I've had in my entire year on the PGA Tour, entire career on the PGA Tour. To come back and to show that. Not that I ever doubted myself, but just to show people that, hey, I can still play this game. I may be, above the average age on the PGA Tour. I may be a veteran now, but I'm still good enough to compete on a week-to-week basis. I'm still good enough to win tournaments. That was, the gratifying thing, all the hard work that not only myself, but my team and everyone around me put in, the sacrifices that they made over the last year to get us back to where they were. To where we wanted to be. It was a very gratifying season. And as I said, when I won Corrales, I was happy for myself, but I was more happy because of the people around me. They don't get enough credit for what I expected them and how much, how hard I can be on them sometimes because I want to be great and I push them to be great as well, and they push me to be great. It's truly, that win meant, a lot more for me to them than it did personally for me. It meant a lot, that they could reap into the rewards and of everything they've given me over the last, really my entire career, 15 plus years.
I'm trying to figure out where to start this question because you touched on so many different things. You mentioned about your age, you're 37. And it really wasn't that many years ago that mid-30s was when they said players really kind of matured into being, where you can combine experience with the ability and the prowess that you still possess. In your case, you are incredibly physically fit. Are you more fit now than you've ever been? What is it? How much is that an element of who you are in your life, whether you were playing golf or not, frankly, but how much is that part of your competitive armor? What are you doing to stay that lean?
Yeah, I'm very lucky that I have two great parents that show me what hard work's about. My dad was very determined in his fitness. He always worked out, always kept his body in shape. I mean, listen, it was tough enough for him to work, 10-hour plus days on a construction site doing manual labor and everything. But for him to, continue to work on, making sure his body was in good shape, that he could work and not be out of a job, that was, just a great role model to have. I've always, done fairly well with my fitness. I have great genetics, which has allowed me to escape injuries and stay healthy. But I've done a better job, I would say, over the last maybe 7 years, especially over the last 2 years. I made a push or made it more of a dedicated decision to be more rigorous in my training at tournaments, in the sense of what I do at home and trying to add muscle and add strength and power. I've done a better job over the last 18 months to 2 years to be consistent with that. I've seen the benefits of it. My club head speed and ball speed has gone up over the last year. Especially I saw it finally take shape a couple months ago, hitting average club head speeds that I've never seen before at tournaments, and ball speeds. So listen, I'm getting older. I need to try and stay healthy. I need to continue to try and add muscle, add strength to compete with the younger guys and stay with them. I don't want to be at a disadvantage in any aspect of my game. So listen, fitness is huge for me. It's also a great way for me to, mentally escape and any frustration or anything I can feel. I get to go in there early in the morning at 6 a.m. and start my day off right and feel like I've won already. I feel like I've already done something. I've done something that most of the people probably in golf and most of the people in this world haven't, and got a great workout in, hour to 90 minutes of getting in the gym. And so I come away feeling like I've been successful already that day.
When you were talking about what you and Brittany are doing through the foundation, particularly in areas like for addiction, et cetera, are you glad that we're at a point now when we're talking about professional sports? It goes beyond golf, but talking about professional sports where we can talk about mental health. I mean, you talked about kind of mentally getting away, and I'm crossing the bridge into mental health with it. But are you glad now that we can have these open conversations and say, look, everybody, we're all human beings, and we all need to deal with what life throws at us?
Yeah, I've always been someone who's been open about talking about anything. I'm not afraid to discuss things, and it's a little weird. I'm not saying that my parents didn't, but they grew up in a generation where you just didn't talk about struggles and issues that you may have dealt with. And so I think, I don't know what was a trigger for me or what changed for me, but I have no issues talking about what I do well and what I don't do well. I'll admit my weaknesses, right away. I'm not afraid to admit my faults. I think it's a way to grow. It's a way to address them. But it's also, the thing for me is that you never know by sharing, what you may be struggling with or having a hard time with, that there's someone around you that may be having the same issues that you can connect on, and you both can sort of heal and find a path forward that can both help you guys, both help men and women, overcome anything that they're dealing with. So obviously we learned more about that. My wife and I, when she went through her rehab for alcohol addiction, depression, and anxiety. So it's something that I'm not afraid to talk about. We all struggle in life. No one's immune to it. Doesn't matter how much money you have in your bank account. We all have the same issues. As the old saying goes, we all put our pants on one leg at a time. No one's able to jump in their pants and put both their legs on. So it's just one of those things that we all deal with our issues. And I think the more open we can be, if you're comfortable, I think the more you grow from that and the more you're able to help people as well.
I'm an optimist, Billy, and I believe that things happen for a reason. And I believe that somewhere, somehow, especially when you're in a mass broadcast platform, that when a message like that gets sent out, it's touching someone. Maybe not immediately, maybe tomorrow, whatever it is, but that seed's been planted and someone knows that there's help there. And it isn't just about the darkness closing in. It's about the light that can expand. So thank you for your efforts collectively in that regard as well. You were laughing when I said before that Colin called the starting leaderboard at the Tour Championship a fake leaderboard. That was his phrase, not mine. I got a kick out of it too and laughed about it. What are your thoughts about the starting the way they do with the staggered start and fighting uphill when you start the tournament?
I don't think there's any perfect formula. We've seen it every year, and we see it more and more as we have another year of the FedEx Cup playoffs go through. First off, I see a lot of people talk about match play, and yeah, match play is great, but let me tell you what, no one wants to see just one single match the final day. Maybe golf enthusiasts, golf fans would like that, but if you're trying to bring in, your non-regular golf fans and just sport fans in general, if someone's 4 or 5 up after 4 or 5 holes, it's not going to be entertaining. And I was told this stat recently that the last 2 out of 3 years of the WC match play, that final round was the lowest televised viewership of any PGA Tour event. And I happened to be involved in one of those last matches in those 3 years with Scottie Scheffler. And I will say that was a terrible match to watch because we only made one birdie between us. It was a slugfest. It wasn't exciting to watch. And so I think when you think about the match play iteration that people keep bringing up, yeah, it sounds cool, but for TV and for viewership, I don't think it comes across as something that is going to be exciting and compelling on a year-to-year basis. Now, do I believe what we have now is the best, or can we make it better? Sure, but I don't know how. I do believe the strokes should be closer together. I've talked about that when they brought this scenario, this iteration, to us, 6-7 years ago. I believe even more so now with the guys that are in the top 30 or have truly had the best seasons of the entire PGA Tour. So I do believe we could make that a little bit tighter to make it a little bit more compelling. And at the same time, the best player that year has not always won the FedEx Cup. Perfect example is when I won the FedEx Cup in 2014. Rory McIlroy was by far the best player. He had won 2 majors that year, and I had a okay season up into the playoffs, but I got hot at the right time, and I was able to win. It's no different than the New England Patriots when they went into the playoffs, by far being the best team, and they got beat in the Super Bowl by the New York Giants. So, like I said, I think the tour is going to, needs to do a little bit better job of messaging what the playoffs are about and what the regular season is about. Yes, Scottie Scheffler was the best player the last couple of years, probably going into the playoffs. And, he didn't play well in the playoffs or at the right time to win the FedEx Cup. He did that this year. So I think there's going to be a little bit better distinction between the FedEx Cup playoffs, the regular season. I think maybe we put a little bit more weight in the Comcast Business Top 10 possibly. But the playoffs are an area where you have to play well enough in the season to get into the playoffs, and then anything can happen in the playoffs, which is the coolest thing about any sport. And that's what I think we have the option, or that's what we do in golf. Only thing is I just wish maybe the Tour Championship, the strokes are a little bit closer to have a little bit more compelling, where it's realistic that the number 30 guy could truly win the Tour Championship and win the FedEx Cup.
Billy, we're now in early September 2024. Is golf at its highest competitive levels in a better place right now than it was a year ago?
Listen, I think golf is the deepest it's ever been. There's no doubt about that. I think, as I said back in 22 at the Scottish Open when, LIV got started, I believe competition is an awesome opportunity for people to continue to improve. We've seen it in sport, we've seen it in business. When there's 2 competitors that are trying to get a bigger share of the marketplace, they're going to make changes to continue to stay where they are or improve and grab more of the market share. So I think the competition we've gotten from LIV has made the PGA Tour better. It's made the necessary changes we needed from the PGA Tour. Before LIV was around, the executives that I talked with at the PGA Tour were aware that changes need to be made, but it's very tough to make those changes when you have 200 plus members of the PGA Tour and they have an opinion and a say of how things can be done. And since Live's come around, I think players have understood the necessary changes that need to be made for the growth of the PGA Tour to continue, to still be the leader in golf in 25 plus years from now. So yeah, I think it's deeper. I think at the same time, I think the sport of golf is tired of the little division that we do have. I think we need to figure out what we need to put a resolution to that quickly. I think we need to, make a decision whether we're going to come back together or whether we're going to be two competitors, trying to improve our products and go in separate directions. So, but I think just a little bickering going back and forth from both sides. Listen, it's not just one side's dominated the other. It's been from both sides. There's no doubt about it. And I've had my foot in that arena a little bit, and I'm not immune from being criticized from stuff I've said. But I do believe golf is in a very deep, the deepest it's ever been, with kids from college being able to play on the PGA Tour now. And you've seen what Luke Clayton's done. You've seen what Ludwig Oberg's done. Michael Thorben Olesen, who's came out this year, he's going to, had a strong, 4 or 5 months on the PGA Tour already. So the game of golf is very deep. I just think we need to figure out, how we're going to, what the future that's going to look like for both sides. And I think we're still a couple more years away from seeing how that's going to look.
Yeah, Nick Dunlap would be another that I'd throw in that mix of young players that have done incredibly well. For you personally, how would you like to see it settle out? Would you like to see a union of sorts between the two leagues, or where you have touchstones where you come together and compete against each other? What would be perfect for you?
I think I would say maybe about 5-6 years ago, thinking about this and talking with, like I said, some people at the PGA Tour, some of the players that are more global. I believe we need to create maybe like a pyramid scheme or a pyramid. I think we need to create one big tour at the top that's a global tour, probably have 20, 22, maybe 25 events around the world. From there, you feed down to probably the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour. Let's say you have 100 players in that top, or 120 in that top one, whatever that number is. You feed 15 up from both the PGA Tour and then the DP World Tour. Below them, you have the Korn Ferry Tour and the Challenge Tour. You have to prop those tours up financially so that guys are finishing 50th on the Korn Ferry Tour list, money list, aren't just breaking even. They're making some money so they can reinvest in themselves and continue to prove to get to the PGA Tour, then to get to, whatever this global PGA Tour title is, I would say. So that's what I would love to see. I would love to see maybe a little bit more global schedule. I've seen by traveling, over the Europe and the UK, the appreciation I've been shown from the fans, and I've given it back to them for, traveling globally, trying to play more. I've always, my college coach, Buddy Alexander, always said, if you want to be considered a truly global, like a world player, a great world player, you have to travel around the world, and you have to play well, and you have to win outside the United States. So, when I hear players that say people say they're global players that don't really travel, they're not really truly global players. They're really good in the U.S. I'm not saying they're not going to be great outside the U.S., but they haven't traveled to play outside their comfort zone. It's not just a golf course. It's getting used to, the different places, the different food, the different languages. Everything's different when you travel outside the U.S. than we're accustomed to. And I don't fault anyone for not wanting to travel outside the U.S., but I think for the game of golf, and I think growing the game is used way too much, in my opinion. I like to say give back to the game. The game of golf has given me so much that I just give back. I try to give back to the game for everything it's given me. So I do, like I said, to wrap this up with this little question, I would like to see maybe a little bit more of a global tour created that allows the entire world, the fans around the world, to truly see us play. Because I think that, would enhance, the game of golf. And I think for players themselves, it would be beneficial for them as well, because the fans give us so much.
It's awesome because you mentioned, for you getting back to Europe and traveling, the model that you're describing is there with football of the soccer variety internationally in terms of how that pyramid. actually works. A couple of questions, going to let you go because you've been absolutely awesome. How excited are you to see Keegan Bradley named the United States Ryder Cup captain? The fact that, and I'm not saying it broke the mold, but I'm a huge fan of Keegan and have been for a long time. And to see him actually recognized for what he has accomplished and what he is accomplishing as a player right now, same vintage as you. I'm just curious where you fall, not what your thoughts are.
I think we were all shocked when Keegan was announced. But at the same time, I think Keegan's going to be a great Ryder Cup captain. I think he's perfect for that area, the Northeast, the New York fans. Obviously, growing up in the Northeast, he has strong ties there. Keegan has a strong passion for team competitions. We've seen it many years when he was part of teams. But just having brief conversations with him, he's going to change some things. He's going to ask a lot of the players. He's going to ask them to make sacrifices that maybe they haven't made in the past. So I think he's going to bring in an entirely different view of what he expects as us as players, what he expects as being captain of the Ryder Cup. I think it's going to be a great transition into this new era for hopefully the United States team. When the task force was announced back at the end of 14, when we got truly throttled by the European team, I was always skeptical of it being called a task force because it looked like we have an issue, and I just don't like that, sort of addressing the issue. But I think the task force has done some good things, but I think at the same time they've missed on a few things. I think, when you look back, I don't think they had enough young captains, younger players as assistant captains. They seem to have a lot of the past Ryder Cup captains and everything else. So I think Keegan, as you've already seen, he brought in a Webb Simpson, you brought in a Brandt Snedeker, two guys that have been on part of many teams in the past, and two guys that would be unbelievable as Ryder Cup captains and President's Cup captains going down. So this is a transition for the U.S. team, I believe. And Davis Love has talked about it. He's talked about we need to move on from guys of my generation and start handing it over to the younger guys. And this is a first step of it. So I think Keegan's going to do a great job. I think John Wood appointing him as a team manager, that's going to be a big boost to not only Keegan, but to have someone in there from a different perspective, bring in different views and everything. So I believe, so far what I've seen of this Ryder Cup, from the outside looking in, having a few conversations with Keegan Bradley, John Wood, I believe you're going to see a different Ryder Cup, the way we prepare, the way we do things. The sacrifices that we make as individuals and as a team to hopefully get back to winning victorious and doing it more often than we have done over the last decade.
Very cool. I want to finish by asking you about the Horschel Family Foundation in terms of how we can help, and we're going to get to that one second. Before I do, I have to ask you one thing because, as you know, I love your golf swing. I have for years. But it looks to me like you guys have been doing some work it looks in particular at the top of your golf swing to me. Is there anything going on there? Have you been working on something?
Probably right for Cognizant this year. I would say, because we were trying to hit a cut, and the way my body works and everything versus the way it worked probably a decade ago. And a decade ago, I would hit more of a right to left shot. We're trying to get the club to be a little bit more up instead of so deep. It allows me to, I don't say shallow out, but just allows the club to work a little bit better coming down. I'm able to cover it and hit a little cut. When it got a little too deep, and then I would start my downswing, the club just sort of stayed back there, and it never got back in front of me. And so now just trying to hit a cut, we're trying to just keep it more in front of me, which gets it a little bit more up in the backswing. And from there, we haven't really done much with the backswing since Cognizant so much. Mm-hmm. We've been trying to work more on the sequencing of the golf swing, which probably has been more of the issue than anything. I've always had the issue that my separation, my upper body starts, at the same time as my lower body. So the differential in timing, if we got on like a force plate, is the same. So the more that my hips can lead the downswing, the better off that I am, in the sense of the upper half just sort of stays there a little bit longer, and I stay behind it, and I'm able to hit more of a shallow cover cut, instead of when the upper body starts a little bit at the same time as upper, I get a little too much on top, which then causes a little bit of a pull left. And then if I'm afraid of pulling left, I back out of it and I block it right. So I would say over the last month and a half, we've just been really focusing on the sequencing of the golf swing and making sure that the sequencing is correct, which just makes it a little bit easier for everything. Not so much worried about the plane and so much of that.
It's fascinating, Billy. It's keeping with what I thought. I thought it looked like it had become more upright, and I can understand the spacing and the cover that you've achieved there too. Really cool. The Horschel Family Foundation, folks. The foundation name is HorschelFamilyFoundation.org. HorschelFamilyFoundation.org. How, Billy, can we help you guys? Is there anything that we can do towards your efforts?
Yeah. Head to our HorschelFamilyFoundation.org. Reach out to our executive director, Brad Nelson. There's many different ways, you can help. You can help by donating money, which we can use for Feeding Northeast Florida. We have an APJ event here towards the end of October 20th through the 22nd. We're still looking for some sponsors there and opportunities to be part of the Pro-Am. Such a great event. These guys are unbelievable guys. They're great ambassadors for the game. I want to see my goal, as the goal of the APGA is to see some of these guys get to the PGA Tour here in the next couple of years. Marcus Bird has gotten to the Korn Ferry this year. He's had a decent year. If he can finish strong, he has a chance of getting his PGA Tour card. I believe there's going to be a handful of guys that get through the Korn Ferry Q School that get their Korn Ferry card, and obviously there's only 5 cards for the PGA Tour through Q School now, but there could be an opportunity for one of them to snatch one of those. But I do believe we're going to see more guys on the Korn Ferry Tour next year that has come through the APGA Tour. So yeah, please head to the Horschel Family Foundation, reach out to Brad Nelson, our executive director, get in touch with him, my wife as well. There's many, reach out. We can show you options of ways to be involved with our foundation, whether it's financially, whether it's volunteering at events. We do stuff with the Feeding Northeast Florida with packaging food that are going to go out to food pantries and people that are food insecure. So any kind of help, doesn't matter how big, how small, we're very appreciative of it. So please head there and see what you can do.
Absolutely awesome. Again, it's HorschelFamilyFoundation.org if you want more information, folks, or if you want to dive in and help their efforts, which are considerable. Billy Horschel, you represent the best of the PGA Tour at so many different levels. Thank you, as ever, for the amount of time that you've given us today. We wish you the very, very best moving forward.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, buddy.
It's good to see you. All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us on the Fairways of Life show today. As ever, it is an honor to have your company. Bye for now.